Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to make an aesthetic, easy to use habit tracker from scratch in Notion. It will include progress bars, habit buttons, and graphs to make habit tracking easy and fun. Let's get started. Today we'll be making a habit tracker from a new Notion page. Over here on the left, we have the sidebar where we can see how our pages are organized. Let's start by adding a new page by clicking the plus button. Then let's give our page a title or habit tracker. Next, let's click the add icon button to give our page an icon. We can either choose from Notion's built-in icons or upload our own like this. We can also add a page cover to give it a more aesthetic look. Let's do some more page settings by clicking the three dots on the top right. From here, we can choose different fonts for our page. We can also turn on small text and full width to give us more space. In the new line, let's type a heading called Habit Tracker. Next, we can bring up the block options and turn the text into a heading. We can even change the color to make the heading stand out a bit more. Then let's type / to bring up the blocks menu. This menu will give us quick access to different types of content we can add to our page, like text, images, or databases. Now let's type / database to bring up the database block options. And choose to add an inline database. Let's name our database Habit Tracker. Since we already have the header, let's hide the database title for a cleaner look. Let's delete the default empty rows to keep things tidy. Let's also delete the tags property column. Let's add a new row and name it Daily Habits. Now let's add a new date property so we can track which day we're tracking our habits for. Now let's add a checkbox property for our first habit. I'll use reading as an example. We'll name this property Read for our reading habit. And we can also add an icon for our habit like this. Then following this example, we can add as many daily habits as we like. As an example, I'll add 3 more habits here. One for exercise, one for journaling, and one for meditation. Next, let's add a formula property called progress and give it an icon. This formula will calculate the percentage of habits completed for the day based on how many boxes we've ticked. Let's click open the cell to enter the formula to calculate our progress. We'll be using the sum function to add up the values of each habit. I'll type the next bit in a new line so it's more organized, but it works the same if you continue in the same line. So next, we'll convert each habit, like read, exercise, journal, and meditate, to a number using the toNumber function. So now when we check off a habit, it counts as 1, and if it's unchecked, it counts as 0. And now let's divide the total by how many habits we have, which in this case is 4. Let's go to Edit Property and change the number format to percentage. This gives us a percentage of habits completed out of the total. We can also add a progress bar and even change the color like this. One thing to keep in mind is that the previous progress bar formula doesn't display nicely in some cases. For example, if I delete one of my habits, so now I have 3 habits instead of 4, and the formula might show a percentage with a lot of decimal points. So let's update the formula a bit to round the percentage to just 2 decimal points. Let's click open the formula to edit. Let's first add a rounding function to limit the result to 2 decimal points. Then we'll multiply the sum by 1000, and then divide by 1000. So now our percentages only show 2 decimal points no matter how many habits we tick. Let's click the 3 dots on top right for view options. We'll use this view for displaying our daily habit records. So I'll name this view All Time. We can also go into the layout settings and turn off the vertical lines for a neater look. I'm just going to add a few more records before we move on to the next step. Our dates are out of order here, so let's also sort the days in order like this. Let's click the plus button to create a new gallery view. We'll be using this view for our weekly habits. So let's rename this view to say the weekly view. let's go into the layout settings and turn off the database title for a cleaner look. Next, let's change the card preview to page cover and set the card size to small. Now let's go into the property settings. Let's click the little eye icons to unhide the habit checkboxes, progress bar, and date. We can also drag to reorder the properties. Next, let's click the filter button and choose date. And set the drop-down options to start day, relative to today, and this week. So now this view will only display the habits for the current week. Since this is a gallery view, we can also add cover pictures to our cards. In this tutorial, I'll be removing dates in the future to avoid confusion for the next section. Let's add some buttons to make checking off habits easier. First, let's make a new section. Let's duplicate the heading and rename it to create new. This step is optional, but we can change the heading color like this. Then let's drag the heading to move it to the top of the page. Add a new line and type / button. Then click on the button block. This new button will be a shortcut to create a new daily habit record when it's clicked. Let's name the button New Day. And we can change the button icon for a more aesthetic look. Now let's configure the button. Let's add a new action for when the button is clicked. The action we want is show confirmation. Now let's change the confirmation message. And we can edit the text like this. Next, let's add an add page action. And select to add a page to the habit tracker database. Then set the page name to Daily Habits. Then click Edit another property and choose the Date property. Then set the property to Date Triggered. Now when we click the New Day button and click Yes in the pop-up, a new daily habit record will be added, ready to go. Now let's make sure the cards are in date order by using the sort option. Let's duplicate a heading and rename it to Checklist. Like before, let's add a new button block. Let's first make a button for checking off the exercise habit. Let's name the button Exercise. And add a confirmation message. And we can change the text for the Continue button. Next, click Add Action. Choose Edit Pages in the Habit Tracker database. Click Edit Property and choose the Exercise property. and set it to checked. Then instead of 4 pages, change it to when date is today. Then scroll down and click done. Now if we click the exercise button and press yes, the exercise habit will be checked off. Now let's do the same thing to the other habits. We can duplicate the exercise button, click the cog to edit, and edit a button to change it for the meditate habit. If meditate is checked when we press the button, we'll know it works. Now let's repeat the steps to make a button for the reading habit. Finally, we can also add icons to our buttons like this. Let's now make our page more aesthetic. In Notion, we can drag the blocks to play around with the page layout. We can also drag the handles to resize the columns, and organize our blocks into columns like this. And we can also personalize the page by adding some images and widgets. Let's add some widgets to our habit tracker. I'll go over an example using Indify. There's a bunch of widgets we can choose from, so I'm going to go ahead and choose to add a live progress bar. We can customize the widget in the screen. For example, we can choose which bars to show, and set the color of the widget. Once we're done customizing, click the copy link button. Back in Notion, let's type /embed and paste in the link we copied. Once the widget loads, we can resize it and move it to anywhere on the page. Let's duplicate a header and move it to the bottom of the page for a new section. And we can rename the header to say Habits Consistency Graph. On a new line, type /chart and choose the line chart block. and choose the habit tracker database we made earlier. And give this line graph view a name. Next, make sure date is selected for the x-axis and progress is selected for the y-axis. Then the chart will show us a trend of our percentage completion for our daily habits. We can change the color of the chart like this. And there are also some extra styling options to play around with in this section. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe for more tutorials. See you in the next one.